Usually on the day after a game, we will spend the first half hour of the show at the most talking about that game. Last night's game justifies further explanation and analysis because of Lamar Jackson, the MVP frontrunner, the guy who is unstoppable right now in the National Football League. After the game, Sean McVay, coach of the Rams, was specifically asked what makes Lamar Jackson so hard to stop.
You can't truly simulate that, especially when you look at just what a great job they do of creating the conflict. I mean, when you look at when it is some of those gives downhill, those things hit faster on the second and third levels. And then when Lamar does pull it on some of their zone read plays, you know, he's got the ability to get around you. And then, he, you know, what he can do as a runner, just feeling space, you know, because you're not tackling during the week, you know, those do make it very, very difficult, you know, to simulate those types of things. And they do a great job of creating conflict for a defense.
Because you're not tackling during the week. That struck me when I saw it and heard it the first time, Chris. Because what has the NFL become? And I'm not making a value judgment here. This is just teams reacting to the way the game has changed. Teams don't practice live tackling like they used to. Teams don't have that smash you in the mouth intensity in training camp like they used to. You don't have the tackling to the ground. You don't have the intense padded practices. You don't have the practice tackling opponents. So when you come across opponents who are hard to tackle, what the hell do you do?
Yeah.
What do? You get beaten up physically because you've got Lamar Jackson running downhill. You've got Mark Ingram, who is better now than he ever was with the Saints. He's a bully. He plows into the line and you can't stop him.
Well, that's the Lamar Jackson effect. But yeah, you think what? Go ahead.
And I think that this is a direct product of teams recognizing if you're not going to practice tackling, then we're going to run the ball more, because you're not going to be able to tackle us like you would have been able to 10 and 15 years ago, because you're not good at tackling anymore, because nobody's good at tackling anymore.
Well, yeah, added to the fact that college football is spread football and high school football is spread football and everybody throws the ball 40 times a game. That's why we've seen teams like New England and New Orleans and even the Rams before this, you know, and you look at all in the, you know, the Minnesota Vikings right now. You look at a lot of the teams other than the Kansas City Chiefs the last few years in the Final Four, the Final Eight, they're run-first football teams because, like, middle linebackers come out of college and they're like, what? 2 pulling guards are running at me? What? A fullback's about to hit me? Holy cow, I never had to do this. All I had to worry about was the bubble screen or a slant behind me. Now I got to take on a blocker and try to make a tackle. So that is right. Also, coaches have to be really, they have to game plan through the year, or not game plan, but plan it out correctly about when you do have your full padded practice and when you are going to actually hit and do those things. Yeah, they're limited in the NFL now, so you have to be very strategic in when you do that. And, you know, it's an issue in the NFL. You and I hear coaches complain about it all the time. So you got to find some way to get it done still. Hey, the really good teams in football still are winning the physical battle. And the Ravens, the 49ers, the New Orleans Saints, the New England Patriots. Again, I go back to my bar fight thing. They are ready. If a fight breaks out, they are going to.
If a fart breaks out,
I don't know how they'll do in that. But if a fight breaks out, they're going to kick some butt. And the Seahawks are in that too with all the big bad mofos they got up front on both sides of the ball. And that's still the name of the game, is who can dominate the line of scrimmage. And the Ravens can dominate it as good as anybody in football.
I got 2 points I want to get to before we take our next break. First, we eventually figured out what defenses would do to Patrick Mahomes after having the benefit of an offseason to devise a scheme, right? Drop back, take away the spectacular plays, force him to be patient, etc. What is the blueprint that Bill Belichick is going to bring to the AFC Championship game for how to defend Lamar Jackson? And will we see next year an inevitable softening? Remember last year the narrative was, it's going to work the first time you play the Ravens for them. Second time through, you'll know how to handle it. Look at what the Chargers did after losing to them in late December and then beating them in the postseason. I mean, what is going to be that kryptonite for this Lamar Jackson-led offense?
Yeah, well, you're going to have to take some chances, for one. Just like when you were playing a great Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady, at times you just got to do some things that maybe you don't feel comfortable about that are totally sound, but you just got to take a chance to get them behind the chains, things like that. The other thing is, hey, this offense is more complex than the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be harder. Lamar's become a better thrower, and they've added more wrinkles to the run game. Added to the fact, which I want to make this point, Hollywood Brown is the second most important person on the Baltimore Ravens team, because he is the other guy where you go, man, we want to crowd the line of scrimmage, but are we going to lead this little fast dude on the outside one-on-one all game? And then, hey, the draft this year, if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, get another Hollywood Brown, because Lamar can throw it. The confidence is there. Then you get Hollywood Brown with another fast guy out there. What are you going to do when they put two fast guys on the field with two tight ends and that run game and Lamar? They're going to put you in a bind. But it's complex. It really is, and they keep you off balance, what McVay says. And I don't know. I mean, again, they're a tough matchup for the Patriots because of what I said in the last pod. The Patriots don't have a lot of big guys. They have a lot of DBs and linebackers, and Bill is going to have to come up with something really, really creative to stop them.
Remember in the offseason when the Ravens couldn't find any receivers to join the team as free agents? I don't think they'll have that problem.
They're all like, me, I'll come, please.
All right, here's my other question for you. As these remaining teams get ready to play the Ravens in the regular season, and more importantly in the postseason, who in the hell is going to play scout team quarterback? As you begin to try to simulate what Lamar Jackson does, how do you prepare to face Lamar Jackson when there's no one out there on any of these rosters remotely close to what Lamar Jackson can do?
No, nobody's going to be able to totally do that. You're exactly right. I mean, that was a problem for us, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when we used to have to play Michael Vick. It was a big issue. You're like, I would think the 49ers this week, they might have to put Marquise Goodwin in there at scout team, and he's going to have to play, quarterback with all the run plays and do that. And then when it comes time to throw, they're going to have to find somebody to throw the ball instead of letting him throw the ball. I think that's what you have to do. You're going to have to find somebody at least that can somewhat replicate the speed, but you're not going to replicate exactly what Lamar Jackson does. You're exactly right. It's very tough on teams, and the teams that really, this is why I'm excited for this 49ers matchup this week. The 49ers have a lot of big bad dudes on the front four. So they are a team where I go, ooh, this could be interesting. We talk about front fours being able to get to great quarterbacks and Manning and Brady and Rodgers and being able to drop 7. Well, it's going to almost stand the truth here with the Ravens. You need a front four that you can just feel can handle the physicality up front, and then maybe you can do some things on the edge to slow down Lamar Jackson, and that's really what's going to be fun to watch about that matchup this week.
And as it relates to the scout team issue, see, I was trying to lead you down a certain path.
Right.
Because the topic came up a couple of weeks ago when there was a day where it seemed like a certain exiled quarterback may get a chance. And one of the reasons to bring him back isn't necessarily to put him on the field to be your starter, but there is a free agent quarterback out there, and I don't need to name names, who would be the closest thing you could get right now to the Lamar Jackson scout team quarterback. Now, I don't know that he'd be interested, and that's part of the problem. And I made a point over the weekend. We don't know what he'll do because he hasn't said what he'll do. Right. He hasn't said, I'll take anything you give me. But there's merit to the idea of having Colin Kaepernick as your scout team quarterback. And you can shout me down, people, all you want because you think I'm trying to get the guy a job. But if you want to win football games, and if you want to beat the Ravens in the playoffs, you have Colin Kaepernick as your scout team quarterback, you're going to be better prepared to face Lamar Jackson than you would be with Marquise Goodwin or whatever backup quarterback that isn't even close to remotely having the physical skills that Lamar Jackson has, Chris.
No, well, I get what you're saying, 100%. And he is a guy that could somewhat replicate what Lamar Jackson's doing as far as being able to throw the ball and scary on the edge when he does keep the ball and running and all those things. Yes. The other thing is it's just hard to replicate the Ravens in general. Again, if you're sitting at home, pull up your laptop, open it up, check out that Ravens roster. It's the O-line. It's one 320-pounder after another, and 330 and 335, and that's where they dominated the Rams too. Hey, Aaron Donald's 280 pounds. I don't care how great you are. When you're getting pushed by 330 pounders and a double team, damn, Superman's going to have a hard time with that. And Aaron Donald's the closest thing we've seen to Superman. So you got to have big people on your defensive line to slow this attack down. And the quarterback thing, the Kaepernick thing's not going to happen, Mike. But it's a very.
I'm just saying,
point.
if you want to be ready to beat the Ravens, that's a guy to consider. Meanwhile, Aaron Donald, best defensive player in the NFL, invisible last night, thanks to what the Ravens did.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.